Welcome to Block Time. So we're just finishing up day 2 at the North American Bitcoin Conference. Once again, this is down in Miami, largest Bitcoin conference to date. We've got about 4,000 people. It's been amazing to see just the energy, the excitement, everything that's been going on around the conference. And that's been reflected both in the people that have been attending and also some of the presentations that we've seen. And we've seen a mix. We've seen presentations from more established companies, personalities in the space, talking about their take on what we're going to see over the next 12 months. And we've also seen a number of pitches from new companies, whether they're doing an ICO or they've already raised money and they're promoting their brand. So a very interesting mix of the more established companies in the space and also what we should expect to see over the next kind of 12 to 24 months. Now, one thing I like to talk about, because I think it's something that's often missed and is so important to this space, and this is something that Jeffrey Moore wrote about in his book, Crossing the Chasm. Now, crossing the chasm is typically something that we apply to startups. It's essentially the phase where a startup goes out of startup mode into company mode, essentially has built their product and is then launching it. But I think that this is something that really applies to the blockchain space. And what I've been really excited about the conference, about everything that's been going on, thinking back over the last year and the various conferences that I've attended in the last year, I do have a sense that the blockchain space is stuck in this startup mode and has not yet crossed the chasm. When we look back over the last 12 months, what have we seen? As far as crypto developments, obviously there's been a huge increase in the price, a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum, a lot of new coins coming to the market, and essentially the market cap of crypto has considerably increased. But when we look at the actual applications of that technology, it's a bit of a different story. If I think back to the conferences a year ago, I really was seeing the same ideas, the same companies. And the challenge is not many of these companies have actually delivered a commercial product. What's really important for the blockchain space and for blockchain to be adopted, and obviously this applies to crypto as well, is it's actually used by consumers and by companies. And we really have not seen that yet. A lot of these companies that are pitching today are still early stage. They're still trying to get their proof of concepts out. They're still building conceptual platforms. What I was hoping to see, and unfortunately there's been a lack of this, is companies talking about what they've actually delivered to the market. Now, the reason this is so important is for this adoption to happen, ultimately companies need to be embracing this technology, rolling it out across their infrastructures, or as consumers we need to be engaging and actually using these tokens. Instead, what we're seeing is still more and more companies coming to market without a proper plan on how to cross that chasm, how to go from that token generation event, that proof of concept, to actually getting that into the hands of consumers. And for me, those are the companies that I'm looking out for. They're the companies that have actually got real products in the market that are being used, that are competitive over the non-blockchain equivalents in the space. And unfortunately, I'm just really not seeing that. So one of my big hopes for 2018 is that we are going to cross the chasm with blockchain. We are going to see that mainstream adoption. We're going to see companies actually go from their startup mode to fully fledged consumers or companies using their products and rolling it out. And from the ICO perspective, I see the number of pitches over the last couple of days. It's always the same story. These companies are too early stage. There's not enough focus on how they're going to cross that chasm and bridge the gap between their product and the consumers. And I think there needs to be more emphasis on this. Finally, just talking about the markets in general, there's obviously been quite a bit of turmoil this week. The markets took a big dip earlier in the week, but have since recovered. And again, I think this is indicative of the space as well. We're still in startup mode. We haven't yet crossed that chasm fully over into mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency. And that's reflected in this volatility. I think we'll continue to see this volatility, but ultimately the markets are always recovering. We're still seeing this general drive to increase the market cap of cryptocurrencies. But what we're also seeing is a disconnection between the mainstream cryptocurrencies and some of the more speculative currencies. And I think we will continue to see that in the market, is that the main cryptocurrencies will continue to get stronger. I'm talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking about Ethereum, the top 10 cryptocurrencies. And they are starting to differentiate themselves from the rest of the market. Thanks for listening.